Hey everybody, it's Shadowstar and Crystal here for another review of The Flash. And it's a big one, it's Welcome to Earth 2. And there's a lot to unpack here because it is the first time we go to another Earth. The multiverse is truly beginning now.
Which means a lot of doppelgangers to see.
We'll talk about them. So obviously the episode begins with what we said we're going to do with closing all the breach. We get a nice little moment with Wells giving a little monologue as we close the breaches. And then we basically say our goodbyes to this Earth. So we've got two teams. We've got Harry, Barry and Cisco going off and the rest are going to stay here. But anyway, let's get on with it. There's not much to talk about on Earth 1. We'll save that for later because it was a separate plot. We have the Earth 2 stuff. Before we even get there, we have Barry traveling to another Earth. And while we do that, similar to when he was traveling through time, he saw different things.
Yeah.
He saw different things.
I noticed Supergirl.
First off, when he was traveling, he saw Supergirl. This is actually the first time it's been implied that Supergirl is on another Earth. We may have already mentioned that, but yes, this is the first time it's been said that show Supergirl is on another Earth. Up until now, most people would have assumed the shows are disconnected. Don't worry, they'll get more connected as time goes on. But this is the first time they've connected Supergirl to anything at all. Another thing that was seen, other than some random cool stuff, is there was an image of the Flash from the 90s. Implying it's on another Earth as well, which is good because in the past they've talked about the Trickster and shown images from that show when no, it's not in this Earth. But enough about getting to Earth 2. We're on Earth 2 and everyone's got a doppelganger, and also Barry and Cisco are really stupid in this episode. But first off, we got the doppelganger of Henry Hill. Basically, most of the characters seem to be reversed. At least some of them do.
Yeah, because Henry's fine. He's just a guy that works at Star Labs.
And speaking of villains, we have
Deadshot.
Yes, Deadshot. I was about to say that.
Floyd Lawton.
Floyd Lawton got to make a random appearance as Deadshot in this episode.
Yeah.
Don't know why. Just randomly here for a while.
And he got the nickname as being very bad at shooting because he's Iris's partner.
Yeah. So Iris is a police officer and Joe's a singer, but forget about them, they're boring. We get kind of introduced to one of my favourite characters, Killer Frost.
Yeah.
Well, the Earth 2 version of her anyway. We also get the Earth 2 version of Ronnie. So, yeah, we get to see Killer Frost and Firestorm, or Deathstorm technically it's called, and Earth 2's Cisco.
Reverb.
Yeah. So, they're all fun.
He must be wearing heels because he looks taller in that scene.
So, as always, when we talk about doppelgangers, we have to give credit to all the actors for doing a great job.
Oh, hell yeah.
Although, I would say, and no disrespect to Carlos, I'd say Reverb he feels his performance is a little off trying to play a villain. A little bit. It's a bit weird. But speaking of characters who do an amazing job of playing a different character, and this is just proof of it's great. This show once again proves that whether they look the same or not, they can play an amazing character. And I'm referring to Caitlin and Killer Frost. Like, different hair, different makeup, and suddenly you forget she's Caitlin. Especially since, like, in season 2, Caitlin's worn her hair a bit different. Like, she's had a bit shorter hair, and she's had, like, I guess Americans would call it bangs, or she's had a fringe in season 2. Which makes it even more distinctive because Killer Frost doesn't. She has the hair going down like Caitlin did in season 1. But yeah, you got to give compliments to basically most of the actors for playing different versions of themselves, including the other Barry. We didn't get to see too much of the other Barry, actually.
Yeah.
But speaking of Barry, throughout this episode, honestly, Barry and Cisco, especially Barry, is so stupid. As well
He doesn't know how to act and improvise.
And as he says, and as well says, don't get involved, don't get attached. And of course he gets messed up in all of this. If he didn't get attached to Iris, the other Joe wouldn't have died.
Yeah.
Because they only came to Jitters looking for them. And that brings up a good point. It must get annoying for set designers having to redesign all these sets. Because obviously they're not 2 sets. They just redesign the Jitters set or the house set.
It's called Jitterbug.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, and this episode is essentially a two-parter, a complete two-parter with the next episode, because if you notice, there's no real conclusion to any of the plot lines in this episode. It's all a huge cliffhanger in all of the plot lines.
But looking at the Doppelgangers, what seems to be a key difference in Barry's life is his mum is alive. He never lived with Joe and Iris. Joe doesn't seem to like him because he made the decision to want to further his education and get a PhD. Because he was with Iris, Iris took it upon herself to earn more money by being a police officer. That's why Joe doesn't like Barry, because it's his fault that she has a dangerous job.
Well, it was kind of hinted at, like, in season 1 that at one point Iris tried to be a police officer.
Yeah, she said she tried to join Police Academy and Joe didn't let her. But speaking of Barry's parents, I noticed something different, something interesting on the phone. So we had a bunch of speed dogs. The first one was just Dad, which I assume is Joe. The other one is Mum and Dad, which would be Barry's parents. Then we have Eddie. So I guess we're still friends with him and he's alive. Then we have Bruce. We can all guess what that's a nod to.
Yeah, so as you'll notice, Earth 2 is based on a lot of more comic-accurate settings. You'll notice there's a whole big emphasis, like the police station says Justice, and there's a statue of the Flash. And as you said, the names on the list were...
Bruce, Hal, Diana.
Yeah, everyone knows Bruce Wayne is Batman, Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, and Diana something or other is Wonder Woman.
Even though Barry in this Earth is not the Flash, so why is he friends with them?
Well, it's also also, they took a trip to Atlantis, which is home of Aquaman in the comics.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a lot of more comic-accurate things exist on this Earth, whereas, Earth 1, we've not seen Batman. Our Flash is a lot different. We don't have an Atlantis. We've seen no evidence of Wonder Woman on Earth 1. And no evidence of Green Lantern for now. But anyway, but yeah, we get all that. We get our villains. What happened? Oh yeah, Cisco and Ronnie die, which brings up a really disturbing point. Cisco mentions the fact that obviously Stein is in there, but somehow Ronnie's able to keep them together even if Stein doesn't want to be. Which just must be a nightmare for Stein. Could you imagine that?
He just has to watch.
Which actually, I think I mentioned this when we were talking in Steven Universe, but it reminds us of a certain plot point in that.
Yeah.
At the end of season 1.
Yeah, exactly. With Malachite, how Lapis stayed in control and Jasper was trapped.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure
It also reminds me of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, if Yami Bakura stayed in control for a while, good Bakura would be stuck just watching everything. That's a good point.
That tends to happen. But anyway, we got all the villains were great, especially Killer Frost, obviously. And then Zoom shows up, which obviously leads into our cliffhanger of Barry's kidnapped, and we see he's there with Jesse and a guy in a helmet. We'll get more into that. Like I said, this episode's a two-parter, so there's a lot of stuff still to be answered. But enough about Earth 2. We do have to talk about the Earth 1 plot, which not much happened. We get introduced to an Earth 1 medical geomancer. He makes Earthquake. He wants to fight the Flash for some reason. No explanation is given.
Yeah.
And we do get a little bit more backstory on Jay's speed loss. Keep that in mind, because we learned about that he tried using a speed drug, and that's why he loses his speed and his speed is damaged. Just keep that in your head for a few more episodes.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
We're starting to learn a bit more about Jay, and boy, we'll learn a lot more about Jay very soon. We're getting close.
Yeah.
But, all in all, I'm going to give this an 8.
Yeah, I'll go 7.5. It's alright for what it is.
Think about it, it's a big episode. There was a lot to unpack, and, there's obviously, if you're a comics fan, there's a crap ton of Easter eggs and references, and you got to give it that. It's the introduction to, I know we already introduced the multiverse, but this feels like the real introduction to the multiverse. Yeah. So, it's crazy to think that we're still so new to the multiverse, and the multiverse is going to play a huge part going into later seasons, where it's just such a normal thing. But anyway, what is the next episode called?
Escape from Earth 2.
Well, like we said, it's basically a two-parter, so, this episode we're in Earth 2, you can guess what's going to happen in next episode. Everyone's going to die. No. But anyway, this was quite an interesting episode. It's a tough one, because I'm not sure how to feel about it. Some points are a bit odd. Like, I don't care for Barry being stupid or all the drama over Joe, because he's not Joe. We also get quote-unquote emotional scenes with Joe's death, and of course Barry's mother, and if Barry's mother is around, we have to get tears, which makes certain people on the internet cry like little idiots, because, oh look, Barry's mother, I'm gonna cry, just like in the season 1 finale, or a certain season 2 episode coming up. Ugh, I'll get to that when we get to it. But enough about Barry's mother and the disturbing implications. We will see you next time for more Earth 2 and other things as well.
See you next time, guys!